Don't believe the hype. Big shout out to my big brother, Rob. He got me the shirt that I'm wearing. If you're listening on Apple, you can't see it, but it says Jive Turkey. I love it. I wear it all the time. He actually bought one, and then he sent me another one. So big Rob, I love you. You're an inspiration. And it brings me into a time I got on a plane, and I thought I was going to blow my brother's mind because I call him randomly all the time. He's one of the top attorneys in Las Vegas. And if you have any personal injury, you have a car accident, anything like that, he's the guy. He's the top in, I believe, in the world, but definitely there in Las Vegas, one of the top personal injury attorneys. He's incredible and one of the most amazing people that you'll ever meet. But so he's a busy guy. And I call him all the time because my job is a little bit different, right? And so I've got a little bit more free time, let's say, and so I'll call him randomly in the middle of the day, and I expect him to answer, and I expect him to answer my questions. Sometimes he doesn't answer because he's busy, but a lot of times I think that he feels, he kind of feels bad, and he's like, I better answer this one. I called him this one time. I was getting on the plane, and I thought, like, I'm going to blow his mind with this one. And he answers the phone, and I was like, hey, man, just want to let you know, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And he was like, ah. He just stopped me right away. And he was like, well, if that was true, as focused as you are in business and as focused as you are in building your business, then that would make you Lance Armstrong on your bicycle. And we both know that you're not. So that statement is not true. And then he just kind of got off the phone pretty quick. My brother is known for saying the things that other people think that they're too afraid sometimes to say. And what he was helping me to realize is like, Kel, don't believe the hype. Don't believe that one statement that you think that you should live by that you saw on a bumper sticker. Don't believe the hype. Dig into it a little bit. Before you believe it, make sure that it's rooted and grounded. And when that statement of the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, he was like, well, we know that's not true because you would literally be an elite cyclist, but based off your physique and based off your technique on your bicycle, that's not happening. And how many times do we get caught up in the hype? My buddy Dave Hamilton, I sent him out the production notes to this episode, which is Proverbs 6. And I told him about don't believe the hype. And he was like, oh, man, it just happened to me. I was at a hotel and they told me, oh, sir, we love you. We think that you're amazing. And thank you so much for being here. We're going to upgrade you to the presidential suite. He went and the presidential suite didn't have a balcony that he could go out on. It was actually not even as good as the one that was the normal one that his other friend got. And he couldn't even get room service to it. So there was a lot of hype, but not a lot of substance. Big brother Rob always keeps me rooted and grounded because he ain't going for the hype, and he always encourages me. Don't believe the hype. Proverbs 6 delivers today, so let's get this party started.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
For those of you tuning in on Apple, I want to thank you guys so much. If you leave a review on Spotify, make sure that you subscribe or follow, do that. And then on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe also. But that music, it always hypes me up because it's the commercial. If you're watching on Apple or you're listening on Apple, you won't see it. If you're watching on Spotify, you'll see the video, and on YouTube, you'll see the video. It's a commercial for the Vibe Room, and the Vibe Room is a live version of the podcast, and then we've added a musical element to it. So we have it's like having a private concert. You get to be around some of the most iconic people in the world. I interviewed them, and the people in the room, it is unreal. The connection points that are made, and so many great relationships that'll happen. And sometimes they turn into business. Sometimes they're just a relationship. But I tell you, it's real people, and it is a phenomenal phenomenal event. The next one is coming in November. So a big shout out there. And the last Vibe Room, we had a guy named Roy Tuscany, who I want to give a big shout out to Roy Tuscany. He has the High Fives Foundation. So the High Fives Foundation is breaking down barriers to access outdoor sports and recreation for those who have sustained life-changing industries. Visit his website at highfivesfoundation.org to learn more and to be able to get involved. He's an absolutely phenomenal human being. If you haven't heard the episode with him, please do. It'll be amazing. Station identification too, by the book. It's the vibe, and it's not the energy that you bring into the room, but it is the way that people feel when they leave, when you leave, that makes all the difference in the world. And that goes for your communication, your leadership, your culture, and your systems. And it doesn't matter any of those things, which style you choose. What matters is the way that people in your organization feel about those aspects. And when that happens, what we do is we unlock the vibe. And that's what I am able to come in and speak to your company, your conference, and do a keynote. I've been very excited to be able to do that. So check out the book. And then, I'll see you at one of your conferences. And also BLING Shine Serum. It adds moisture, strength, and shine. And it smells like vacation. It's the best product that my family has used. And my mom, it was her absolute favorite. Every woman who uses it becomes absolutely addicted. Hair, skin, nails, moisture, strength, shine. Smells like vacation. Enough said. BLING Shine Serum. Check it out. So Proverbs 6, people have asked me too, like when I started in on this journey of doing the corresponding proverb for the corresponding day, they were like, okay, so why is it so important to you? And because for me, I want to study wisdom and principle-based wisdom. And then that way what it does is gives me almost like a navigation, what would I say? It's a tool for navigation. So when I come into something, then I can test it back. And so that's right in line with what we're talking about today, because there's so much hype in the world. There's so much hype that says, hey, if you do this, then you'll get this right away. If you do this, it'll change your life tomorrow. And sometimes that can be true. In most cases, if it changes you overnight, most likely you'll change back the next night. And we're filled with hype. And my brother is a big, huge filter for this in my life. And he always is saying to me, don't believe the hype. And what was awesome about this is my first concert that I ever went to was Public Enemy. And it was in Memphis, Tennessee at a club called 616. And we got a chance to go, and it was a college bar, but Public Enemy is there, and they're singing Don't Believe the Hype. And if you haven't heard that song, you need to listen to hip hop. But this thing of hype is making the situation look a lot better than when you get up close. And a woman named Terry Cowan told me one time, she said, can I tell you the truth? And I said, yes. And she said, how truthful do you want me to be? And I said, 100%. She said, you look a lot better from a distance than you do up close. And I stepped back and I was like, well, what do you mean? And she said, from a distance, you were saying this. And as I got closer, and she was talking about our company that we were working for at the time and the team that we had built, and we thought we were the best. And when she came in, she was like, well, I've heard about it, but as I got closer, I started to see the inconsistencies of what you said and what you actually did. And so in Proverbs 6, it talks about this, it gives us a no-nonsense approach to steer clear of the hype and how to be able to sniff it out from a mile away. So in verse 1 through 5, steer clear of debt personally, professionally, spiritually, and financially. And if you're in it, get out of it ASAP. So if you want to steer clear of hype, or you want to, is most of the time, the reason why we're grasping for straws or we're going after something, and I found this in my own life, is when I'm going after something and I need a quick fix, is because I'm in a place where I have to have it. We've talked about this before, in sales training with people, is there's a difference between push and pull marketing. When you're pushing something on somebody, it's completely different than when you step back and you let them know of what you can offer, and then they pull themselves into what it is that you want to do, or that what you can offer. It's a completely different realm. And so make sure that, in verse 1 through 5, it just talked about steering clear of debt. When you are in debt, there's good debt and bad debt, and I completely understand that. But when you're in debt, what happens is there's a weight on your shoulders. And when that weight is on your shoulders, it's like a monkey on your back that is you have to feed the monkey. And so, it was a caution right off the bat. And I thought it was interesting because in verse 1-5, it kind of set the tone, just like make sure on that. In verse 6-8, here was 3 things. It said, stay focused, be diligent, work your land. Stay focused. But it was asking like, what are you focused on? Because we could be focused, but we could sometimes be focused on the wrong thing. What is the right thing? It's the thing that God has for you at that time. How can we know that? By just spending time with him, right? And just having a relationship with God. Just take everything to God. Just take a prayer list. My dad would do this. It's called casting your cares. So take a notebook, write down the date, and then write down the care and give it to God. And pray about it and ask, and he'll answer you. Sometimes he'll answer you in words. Sometimes he'll answer you in peace. Sometimes he'll answer you through circumstance, different ways, but you'll hear it when you're listening for it. No hype, just hard work and humility. This is my brother, in a nutshell. This is Rob in a nutshell. No hype, just hard work and humility. And so in verse 9 and 11, lazy will always catch you. So there's never a time where lazy won't catch you. In verse 12-15, I think this one can be universal for all of, business, for life, for relationships. It's just don't be a D. In verse 12-15, it makes things simple in your life when you're just not a D. Don't be a D. Don't be that guy to people. Don't be nasty. And I've been that guy, and, I continue to be that guy at times. And, the reason why is most of the time because there's some hype. And there's some things that, number one, I get myself in debt personally, professionally, spiritually, or financially. Sometimes I'm indebted as far as time or money or whatever it is, and I start acting out of character. And then when I do, I have to get a quick fix. So I go and I figure out the thing that's shiny that can bring me results right away. And when that's happening, most of the time, I'm so focused on what I need that I'm a D. So in verse 16-19, be focused, speak truth, use discernment, slow down, be honorable, and avoid hype. Sounds pretty simple, right? Watch this. I'll say it again. Be focused, speak truth, use discretion, slow down, be honorable, and avoid hype. I feel like my brother is talking to me right now. In verse 25-35, the hype is coming. It is flattering, enticing, slick, savvy, and willing to do whatever. It never ends well. So don't believe the hype. God's way is much better. See, I'm fortunate because I have a big brother that is the antithesis of hype. My mama said that sometimes you need Jesus with skin, a person who is an example of the words that God had laid aside for us. And that relationship, that personal relationship with Jesus, sometimes we need a person that walks alongside us that we could feel that. And I'm very fortunate because I have that in my brother. Now, I'm not saying that my brother's a god. I'm not saying any of those things. He's just a great example of no hype, no frills, just real hard work, humility, the dirty work. He's willing to do all those things, and he never falls for the hype. And so it's one of those things that even if it comes with harsh truth, from my brother about how I'm not Lance Armstrong, how my physical fitness is not where it needs to be, how my physique is not where it needs to be. My brother encourages me all the time to just don't believe the hype. Test it with truth, test it with time, test it with principle. And don't believe the hype. So, Rob, I love you. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. I love the fact that you're willing to say the things that everyone else is thinking but aren't willing to say. I love you, my man. I'm going to get on my bike and ride as hard as I can because I believe that I can add that focus that I've had in business onto my bike also. I love you so much, my man. Thank you guys so much for subscribing to the podcast, locking in. The Vibe Room is coming in November, so check that out. Stay in touch with us. Make sure that you subscribe YouTube, on Pandora, on Spotify, Apple, and leave a review. It's the greatest thing that you can do. Love all of you. Hopefully you have a phenomenal day. My name is Kelly Cardenas. This has been Proverbs 6. Don't believe the hype. And I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over